Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked for this week. I think let's go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right we have the Benu Euphoria, and this is the Earl Grey tea, which is a Goulet Pens exclusive. We have a Montblanc Writer's Edition, and this is the Jules Verne. We have an Onoto, and this is the Charles Dickens Christmas Carol 2023 in gold trim and gold gilding. We have a Onoto, and again a Charles Dickens Christmas Carol 2023, but this is in the silver trim and silver gilding. We have an Onoto Charles Dickens Christmas Carol, but this is the 2022 edition. This is a prototype. We have an Onoto, the Flying Scotsman. We have an Onoto Longitude. We have a Montblanc, and this is the Writer's Edition, and it is the Robert Louis Stevenson. We have a Magna Carta Mag 600 in the Obsidian, and a Magna Carta M600 in the Asure. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up in a little bit more detail. So this is a pen that was gifted to me by Bill, and this is a Benu Euphoria Earl Grey tea. This is a Goulet exclusive. I really do like the beautiful Earl Grey tea that is infused, and lavender, the blue lavender there as well, within the body and cap here of this pen. It really is, for me, a captivating pen. You can see that there sort of shining through. This comes with a medium nib. I wanted a medium nib. I previously bought the broad nib, and Bill said that he had ordered a medium nib for me and was going to send it to me. So again, thanks Bill for that. That was a very generous offer. I don't normally receive that many offers like that, so I honestly would like to thank Bill for that, because that was a very generous offer. This is a good pen. I do like it. I do have expensive pens in my collection. I do have cheap pens. This is probably a more mid-range, around about 160 US dollars. It's a cartridge converter there. Again, you can see through that body there. It really is quite captivating. I am a drinker of Earl Grey tea. I am a fan of Earl Grey tea and Lady Grey tea. So for me, this is why this pen speaks to me a lot. You can post that cap there. It will post deeply and securely. It's not back weighted, so if you want to post your caps, you can do. This really is quite an interesting pen, I would say there. And I'm glad that I was able to receive this and add it to my collection. I did offer Bill some money for this, but he said it was a gift. So again, thank you, Bill, for that. I now have two Benu Earl Grey teas, and I am loving both of those. More so this one, actually, the medium nib, because I think that's really what I should have gone with in the first place. The next pen inked up is a Montblanc, and it's a Writer's Edition, and it's the Jules Verne. So this is a Montblanc, and you can see it has this beautiful sort of guilloche, sort of herringbone effect under this enamel here. Beautiful pen. I do like this pen a lot. It's a pen that I said to a friend, Tony, in Kansas City, that I was looking out for one recently, and he said, well, I've got a medium one, and I can... He's more into extra fine and fine pens, but he was able to pick up a fine one recently, and he said, well, look, what if we actually did a trade with some pens? So I actually did send him two of my Visconti Millionaires, and probably could have got away with one, but the way I looked at it was I picked them both up for a really good price, about at least 50% off, if not more. So I looked at it from the value of what this pen was, what he had paid for this pen, which he had also paid like 50% off, and versus the two of my pens. And I decided, you know what, it made more sense for me to sent him to, and he accepted. So I'm very glad. Like, he's now got a fine nib that he really wanted in the first place. I now have a medium nib version of this pen, and I now have, I think, 5 of these writers editions and 2 non-writers editions. You can post this cap. Now, typically, you cannot post caps on these writers editions, but this one I think was from 2002 or 2003, so you can do. This is an interesting pen there for sure. Glad that I was able to add it, and glad I was able to get that pen from Tony. He doesn't normally let go of his Montblancs that easily, but I guess he was letting go of it because he was getting the one that he really wanted in a fine nib. So the next pen I have inked up, which is a lot lighter, because this is very heavy, this pen, is an Onoto, and it's the Charles Dickens Christmas Cow 2023 edition. Now, these came out with a gold trim and a gold gilding. Now, they also came in a silver trim and silver gilding. So I was able to pick up both. So this is the gold trim and gold gilding, and this really is beautiful inscription here that goes on this pen. I really do like this. It really... Onoto have got some great artisans, whether or not it's the silversmiths or whether or not it's just like the regular sort of pen makers that they use, but this comes with a number 7 size medium nib. These are cartridge converter pens. You can post the cap if you want to. I don't, but you can do. I do find that this is a fairly reasonable size in my hand anyway. It's not short in any way. So for me, I don't normally post those caps, but you can do, and it will post deeply, securely, and it doesn't feel back weighted either. The next pen here is the same Onoto Charles Dickens Christmas Cow 2023 edition, but this is silver trim and silver gilding. Again, I like that I added both of these to my collection. It was coming up to, I think it was around the October time last year, and I was actually thinking, well, I knew that there was one of these coming because they come each year, and it is a limited edition one. And typically, like 22, there will be 22 of them. In 2023, there were 23 of them. So, but this year was different. They did 23 in the gold and 23 in the silver. So I knew one was coming, but I think it was a blue color here instead. But I didn't really realize there were going to be 2. But when I saw both, I decided I wasn't going to be able to choose between these, so I picked both of these up. So very glad that I did. I really do like this pen. And again, I got a number 7 size Onoto medium nib. It's a cartridge converter, and you can post the cap again if you want to. Now, I probably could have gone for a fine nib. I do have fine nibs on my sterling silver versions, and I do like them, but I think I'm a little bit more partial to the medium nibs because they write a little bit more closer to a Western Broad as these are Bock nibs. The next pen inked up is the 2022 edition. And again, this is the Onoto Charles Dickens Christmas Cow. Now, this one really did speak to me with this green. And this was around June last year, actually, June 23. I met up with Feng at Onoto, and I said to him, I was actually picking up a few other pens, sterling silver pens, Onotos. And I said to him, you know what, I really missed out on this one because this was the 2022 edition. So there were only 22 of these made. And he said, well, it was long sold out. And I said, well, I really missed out on it. He said, well, I actually have a prototype, and that's what that one there is. It's 00 of 22. I know who has 0 of 22, which is another prototype, and that's John Soroka, who's our UK nibsmith or nibmeister. So I was very glad that Onoto still had a prototype, and Feng offered to sell it to me. So I jumped at that, and I bought this, and I really like this green diffusion bonded acrylic there. It really has some great chatoyance there. So glad that I picked this up. And again, I picked this up with a medium number 7 size Onoto nib, cartridge converter, and you can post the cap if you want to. This one doesn't really, it just sits and spins a little bit more. It doesn't quite grip, probably because it was a prototype. But I like it, and I love that color. And yes, the eagle eyes of you will say that that green there doesn't match up 100%, but partly that is because the cap is wider than the body, and that's the reason behind it. But I do like these coloured pens from Onoto. They are, I think, very different to. You don't. I want to say you don't see these sort of striped colours, pinstripes, in a lot of pens, and I think that is possibly why I like them, and probably why Onoto make them as well. One thing that Onoto do make, though, are also custom pens. That they make sort of special pens, special edition pens, and this is one of them. It's the Onoto, the Flying Scotsman. And if you don't know, the Flying Scotsman is a train, and the centenary was 1923 to 2023. So you can see that this pen is made out of a lot of different parts of train here. You can see you've got the wheel there, and it does say Flying Scotsman there on there, and then you've got 4472, and then you've got LNER, which was the name of the company. It really is a beautiful pen. It's a large pen. It's a bit of a girthy body. Comes with a number 7 size Onoto medium nib, broad nib there. And this one I have since, I think I've shown this before, but it's a cartridge converter, and I have added a brass insert, which I haven't stuck in there yet. Onoto used to glue those brass inserts in, so if you ordered a pen from Onoto, it adds about 12 grams in weight. They would glue those in. More recently, they just put sticky tape around them, so that it just wedges it in, but it's easier to pull it out. If you wanted to change from, say, a converter to a plunger, I haven't glued this one in or stuck it in, and to be honest, it actually you do not feel it moving around. It's actually pretty solid in there. So for me, that's quite good. You can't post the cap on this pen, unfortunately, but again, I'm not normally a cap poster, so I think for me that's okay. Maybe for others, perhaps you would prefer to be able to post that cap. But for me, I like that pen. I nearly did buy it when it came out. I was into train sets as a kid, into sort of a little bit into the Flying Scotsman, but not. It wasn't like I liked green locomotives. I knew that it was a Flying Scotsman, but I also knew there were other green locomotives as well, the engine boxes and that. But for me, I didn't buy it when it came out, but I got a good price on that from a private seller on eBay, so I decided I would buy that one. The next pen is the Onoto Longitude, and this is a seafaring pen. I kind of like this pinstripe effect going on the body. I do like this engraving, which actually, it's laser engraved, but it's very smooth to the touch that you can see there. You have a massive sea anchor there. You have the ship's wheel and the rope. And then you have a plaque there that says Longitude, and it says made from HMS Association, which was the ship or the shipwreck that they made. They pulled up some of the metal from, and that has been used in this pen. So I got a number 7 size nib, medium nib. It is a cartridge converter. You also have the latitude and longitude there of where the ship was wrecked. Can you post that cap? Yes, you can, but it is very, very back weighted. This itself is a very light pen. I kind of would like to put a brass insert in, and I'm just going to have a look and see. I think the brass insert that I have here is probably going to be a little bit too thick. Oh, maybe it will fit. Okay, I'm now checking this because that will sit in there. And will it screw up? Yes, it will. Wow. Okay, that now feels much better weighted. So I actually did buy 2 of these brass inserts at the London Pen Show. So I'm actually going to fit one of those to that pen. I would like probably to get a few more of those, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put that back into the body here. Just get it around the right way. Yeah, that is the chamfered side or edge, and I'll just screw that back up. So now, I hadn't thought about that one before, because the downside for me on the Onoto Longitude, which is this one, is that body is a little bit too light for me. I have tried the inserts into these pens, and it will fit, but it will not screw up, and I think it's because the ends are a bit tapered. But this one, it fits actually nicely. So I've got a second one of those. I'm going to fit that, and then I might have to also look at potentially getting some more of those inserts, those brass inserts. The next pen inked up is the Montblanc, and this is the writer's edition. It's a Robert Louis Stevenson. If you don't know, Robert Louis Stevenson was the author that wrote Treasure Island and a bunch of other books as well. Now, this does have the skull and crossbones here as the Montblanc star cap finial. I really like how they did that. It has a compass. It has this sort of lattice sort of flooring there. And then you have X marks the spot, and there's lots of X's there, but there's one big X there. And you also have the piston knob, which is almost like a telescope. And this comes with a number 6 size nib there. I got this in a medium nib. It is a piston filling pen, but this pen just really, really feels nice and writes nice. So I got that one inked up again this week. I had it inked up, I think, last week as well. It's just a pen that I like looking at and I like writing with. I didn't think I would be partial to that cream cap, but I do like it. The next pen is the Magna Carta Mag 600. Now, this Magna Carta is a company in India, and I think they are really pushing the boundary on pens. This reminds me very much of the vintage stacked celluloid, also the stacked celluloid that I have in a lot of pens in Visconti's. But the difference is that stacked celluloid is about 1 millimeter thick, whereas these bands here are probably about 3 millimeters or 4 millimeters thick. But I have to say, this really, really is a beautiful pen. So if I unscrew that, you'll see it has a 14 cap flex nib. So it's not an extra fine, medium, or broad. It's just there's no nib width definition there. It literally is a flex nib. You probably could post the cap. It doesn't post deeply. It does post fairly securely, but it literally only posts on the very end there. These are cartridge converters. I find that because these are flex nibs, I will go through, if I flex these pens, I will go through a good amount of ink, and typically it will be about a page of A4 will use the entire converter. So that is a lot of ink effectively there. And then the last pen here, again, is another Magna Carta Mag 600. This one was in the Obsidian. This one is in the Asure. This is a beautiful blue. I really like the blue, but I'm also partial to this grey. So I decided I would pick that one up as well at the same time. Again, it comes with a 14 karat gold flex nib. And like I said, these will really flex. Again, look, posting the cap here, it really, like, if you push it on there, it will grip. But it's not really designed. It's almost as long as my pen tray here. It's not designed to be posted. But you could, if you really, really have to, post the cap on that. So I have that one inked up as well this week. So there you have it. That's my 10 pens currently inked for this week. I think let's now go do a writing sample. So the first pen inked up this week is the Benu Euphoria, and this is the Earl Grey Tea. This is the pen that was sent to me, gifted to me by Bill. So if I do an ink swatch here, you'll see that this has a lovely medium nib. And I think it writes really well. So this is the Benu Euphoria Earl Grey Tea. And it's a medium Schmidt steel nib. And the ink in here is Diamine Earl Grey Tea. And it wouldn't surprise me if other brands of ink will come out with their own version of Earl Grey tea as an ink. But now I'm loving the Diamine Earl Grey tea, which I've loved for ages, and also the Dominant Industry Earl Grey tea, which is more of an orange ink. The next pen inked up is the Montblanc Writer's Edition Jules Verne. So we'll do an ink swatch. And I was actually looking to buy one of these pens, and then that's when my friend Tony said, hey, look, why don't we do a trade? And I was like, actually, you know what? That's a really good idea, because that way I don't have to then spend the money on this pen. And maybe I get rid of one or two pens that maybe I'm not liking as much, perhaps more recently. So this is the Montblanc Writer's Edition Jules Verne, and it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib, and the ink in here is Waterman Inspired Blue, and it's a drier ink. I was tempted at the time to put in the Venustus Aqua di Spargi, which is about the same colour, maybe a little bit lighter. But I think I had a couple of pens inked up with that, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go with Inspired Blue. I might actually swap that out at some point. The next pen is the Onoto Charles Dickens Christmas Cowl 2023 in gold trim and gold gilding. So we'll do an ink swatch here. Now, this one is getting low on ink, and I'm going to ink it back up because I've written a lot with it this week, and I like it. It's a very wet nib, so it's the Onoto. I'm going to shorten this to Christmas Cowl 2023. I'll put here gold in a medium. Yeah, here's a medium. 18 karat gold nib. These nibs are made by Bock. And then the ink in here is Herbin Amber de Bermanie, which is a really, really nice autumny coloured ink. Lovely for autumn, October, November time in the Northern Hemisphere. The next pen inked up is the Onoto Christmas Cowl 2023 in silver trim and silver gilding. This one I did run very low on, and I have inked up and just do that ink swatch there. So it's the Onoto Christmas Cowl 2023. I'll put silver because it's silver trim, silver gilding. It's a medium. It's an 18 cat gold nib, and the ink in here is, I'm just thinking, is this? I think it is. Yes, it is. KWZ Old Smoke. I just, as I wrote that K, I thought, oh, is that KWZ? It is. The next pen inked up is the Onoto Christmas Cowl 2022 edition, and this is the prototype. We'll do an ink swatch on this one. And I love that green, and I also love how this ink looks as well. I'm trying to think, did I put Diamine Apple Glory in there at one point? I might know. I put that in another Onoto. So this is the Onoto, and again, Christmas Cowl 2022 prototype. And it just means it's not numbered. But there were only 22 plus 2 prototypes made, and I got one of them, the prototypes. So this is a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. I was wondering, did I put Diamine Apple Glory in this pen? No, I put that in another Onoto. It was a Magna Classic in the chased green or jade. So the ink in here is Diamine Meadow, which is a nice green coloured ink. The next pen inked up is the Onoto, and this is the Flying Scotsman. And interestingly enough, I do have this inked up with the same ink. I want to say this one writes a little bit wetter, maybe. This is the Onoto Flying Scotsman in this is a broad nib, and that's probably why it's a little bit wetter. And it's an 18 karat gold nib, and the ink here is Diamine Meadow again. But that is a nice green ink. It just shades really, really well. The next pen inked up is the Onoto Longitude. And this is the one I'm going to put that brass insert into. And I've already got it in one pen, obviously the Onoto Flying Scotsman, so I'll put it in this one as well. And then I'll be going cap in hand to Onoto saying, any chance I can buy another couple just to have spare ones. I'll need to actually see what other pens it will fit in. I think mostly it's going to be Onoto. So this is the Onoto, and it's the Longitude. And I want to say that this is a broad nib. No, it is a medium nib. I remember because I was toying over getting a broad or a medium, and I did in the end get a medium on this one. So there's a medium 18 karat gold nib, and then the ink in here is Pelican, Edelstein, Topaz, which is a nice cerulean blue, really nice. I find this flows better than Waterman inspired blue. So if I want a better flowing ink, blue ink, then I will go for the Pelican Edelstein Topaz. The next pen inked up is the Montblanc Robert Louis Stevenson. So this is a Montblanc Writer's Edition. We'll do an ink swatch there. So this is the Montblanc Robert Louis Stevenson. And it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And the ink in here is diamine graphite, which is a nice dark grey ink. And it's certainly darker than KWZ Old Smoke, and also darker than Diamine Old Grey in a lot of pens as well. The next pen is the Magna Carta Mag 600 in the Obsidian. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And you can just see that this is a very wet pen, very wet writing nib. So this is the Magna Carta Mag 600, and it is the Flex, and it's a 14 cat gold nib. And the ink in here is KWZ Grey Luxe, which is a very, very dark grey, but equally a very nice one if you're really wanting something more black. And then the last pen inked up is the Magna Carta Mag 600 in the Asure. So we'll do an ink swatch again, and again, this is just going to be a very wet nib. And these nibs are very, very close to vintage Flex. To be honest, I've got vintage nibs, and these flex way more than some of those nibs. But maybe they're not that flexible. But this is the Magna Carta Mag 600, and again, this is the Flex nib, and it's the 14 karat gold. And the ink in here, just need to double check. It is Waterman Inspired Blue, and I say that Waterman Inspired Blue is quite a dry ink, but you can see in this pen, it really depends on the nib and feed that how wet a pen writes. But in this pen, it feels and writes very wet. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up one more time. You got a Benu Euphoria Earl Grey Tea in a medium steel nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey Tea. You have a Montblanc Writer's Edition Jules Verne in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Waterman Inspired Blue. You have an Onoto Christmas Cow 2023 in gold trim and gold gilding in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Herburn Amber de Bermony. You have an Onoto Christmas Cow 2023 in silver trim and silver gilding in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with KWZ Old Smoke. You have an Onoto Christmas Cow 2022 prototype in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Meadow. You have an Onoto Flying Scotsman in a broad 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Meadow. You have an Onoto Longitude in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Pelican Edelstein Topaz. You have a Montblanc Writer's Edition Robert Louis Stevenson in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Graphite. You have a Magna Carta Mag 600 Flex in a 14 karat gold nib inked up with KWZ Grey Luxe. And then you have a Magna Carta Mag 600, again Flex in a 14 karat gold nib inked up with Waterman Inspired Blue. So there you have it. That's my current ink pens for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye-bye.